It's on. Greetings. Greetings. Welcome to the Uncle Vigilante Show. My name is Uncle V, and I unapologetically cover Epic Cash. With me today for Crypto Coffee is, of course, Todd Lewis. Todd Lewis is our lead chief tech engineer, whatever. You know, one of the two really smart men in the family. The other is Max Freeman, founder of Epic Cash, who is on the line with us. And this is kind of the last 10 weeks comes down to today.
I prefer to think of myself as our worst Rust developer. So just to be clear, my position on the tech team is that I'm the absolute worst developer that we have writing Epic Cash code.
Yeah, but you're sure looking handsome today. And look at that picturesque background. Max, I mean, he kind of puts us to shame, doesn't he?
Wow.
I'm the strong, silent, invisible type.
Well, this is going to be fun, everyone. Of course, you know that this series is about the quest for superior money, where we have gone through over the last 10 weeks and gone through the qualities, the attributes of superior money that we can think of. If we missed any, you could certainly give us that feedback. But today is the final overview of my guesses. What you're going to see, let me just show you so you don't have to imagine it. Oh, by the way, before I do that, you know what blew me away today? This week absolutely stunned me. Do you guys know this is a thing? There are people, like lots of people, who don't have inner dialogues. I mean, I don't know about you, but I talk to myself all the time in my head, you know, and there are legitimately people who do not have inner dialogues. And I'm thinking that the world's best marathoners must be those kind of people, because the voice inside my head says, man, this hurts. Just stop. But did you know that's a thing?
It's not very common, right?
No, it's way more common than you think. There's a guy who is well, it's on my the Uncle Odd channel in Telegram. That's where we do all the conspiratard stuff. And it's called t.me/Uncle Odd Lounge or Odds Lounge. I don't know. But there's this guy who is fairly famous, and he realized that his wife has inner dialogue and he doesn't. And they talk about this, and it's like he cannot imagine having inner dialogue. And I'm like, whoa. Anyway,
the longest I've ever run is a 5K. I hate cardio, but I just play Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys in my head, and I'm fine. Like, overripe, fresh skis, California females, a 3-inch cherry red press on the lean nails. I'm good.
God bless you. And my inner dialogue will just basically, the volume will turn up and you won't be able to listen to the music because it just says, stop, just stop. So, all right, everyone, let's get to the purpose of the show. I'm going to share my screen, and this is where we are. Okay. On the quest for superior money, the exercise is, I came up with a group of people in the community, was if we were going to create superior money, what would the qualities or attributes be? And then on the additional pages, we have definition of terms on those. So we went through these, and as you can see up top, means of payment, Bitcoin, gold, Federal Reserve notes. So there are hidden checks or X's behind each one of these cells within this interactive worksheet. Thank you, Spencer, and your team for putting this together. So through the last 10 weeks, we've gone through here, and where you see checks and X's, those are ones where Todd Lewis basically disagreed with me. And Todd Lewis is way smarter than me. So, you know, instead of just conceding to him, I wanted Max to come on because they're kind of, you know, the co-founders, if you will, of Epic Cash. And let's just go through this. And then
There were other people involved. It wasn't just us two, but
well, what
Uncle, there were dozens of people that helped on in that first year. Not, I mean, just in the tech alone, there's so many people's fingerprints on it. It really does everybody a disservice to minimize their contributions. There were, hundreds of people involved in the logo. I mean, just as much of a hive mind as it is now. It was just less of that because we were smaller. But
are you the chief admonishment officer today, man? I'm just calling it like I see it. You two got together and you brought the design to Todd, and he led the tech development. So come on, guys, let's get to this project. All right. So where we disagreed, universally accessible. I had Epic, Gold, Federal Reserve notes, and credits had an X, and apparently I got those right. And so we're here with Gold, and I think you and Todd maybe philosophically disagree a little bit on this, but does Todd have it right in your point of view, Max? Should this be an X, that Gold is not universally accessible?
I don't believe Gold is universally accessible.
Okay, so that
not
should
at all.
be an X. Okay,
in my opinion.
Well, your opinion counts. My opinion doesn't. And so we are universally accessible. See how easy this is? I'm going to mark X. We don't even have to discuss that anymore. Now, border.
Sure we do. Of course we do.
Okay. Here it comes. Okay. All right, Toddy.
The question here is what's universally accessible, right? Because of course there are billions of the people on the planet who don't have access to Epic and Bitcoin either. So it's when we say universal accessible, and of course comatose people don't have access to anything, right? So
we're going there.
Well, no, but I'm using an extreme example to illustrate that the definition is, the definition matters, and there are definitions where you can say yes or no here. So I think the important question is, what is the definition of universal accessibility such that we give a yes to Epic and Bitcoin? Well,
wouldn't you know it? My definition of terms doesn't include that. I think we discovered that when we were going through. So I will.
It's everybody who has internet access.
Well, right? No, and I wouldn't agree that Bitcoin Core is universally accessible either, because if I have less than $2,
sure, Max, what do you see with universal accessibility on Epic? What does that mean to you?
Well, universal, you get into, Bill Clinton, what is the definition of the word is, and how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. But I would say that everyone, everywhere has the chance to access it. That doesn't mean they will. It just means they could.
If they have internet access and a device, which is a low hurdle. Right. But they need internet access and some kind of reasonable modern device, right?
For Epic,
right.
You don't even need internet access because you could do it by USB stick.
You
just need a device.
Well, you can't mine over a USB stick. You need an internet connection.
I'm not talking about mining. I'm talking about the use of the currency in this case.
So someone could physically bring you the currency. Someone could physically bring you Epic on a USB stick.
Right. Or bump it phone to phone with NFC or QR code, audio, Bluetooth, that type of thing. Epic has that unique offline capability that Bitcoin Core does not.
I mean, technically you could do it with Bitcoin, but I think the cost objection is a better one on Bitcoin. But if someone can bring me a USB stick, why can't they bring me a similarly physically sized plastic card with a gram of gold inside of it?
Because your ability to conceal gold from people that might want to steal it from you. Let's say we're talking an executive order 6102 situation, or you're trying to, transact it face to face. Practically speaking, it's much easier for adversaries to deny you access to that payment technology than it is to Epic.
I'm not sure why that's true, because there can be an executive order against Epic, just as easily as gold.
But the game theory of enforcing it, digital data is much harder to detect and harder to curtail and enforce.
Yeah. You can push that argument if you wanted. That to me, the logistics of getting a USB stick to somebody versus getting a identically sized gram of gold or even an ounce of gold to them seems pretty similar.
Going through an X-ray scanner in some dystopian society like Canada, where they can confiscate it from you.
I glue the gram of gold to the inside of the aluminum railing of my luggage.
Sure. Okay. Well, we're
so tell me.
USB sticks show up in X-ray scanners too. And immigration authorities will make you plug in your devices and do a data dump before they'll let you through the border. That happens today at many borders around the world.
But you can encrypt the data on a USB stick. You can't encrypt physical gold.
That is true.
Security through obscurity.
So Tillman makes a good point. Basically, you could discuss this to death to where nothing is universally accepted,
or everything is, right?
Yeah,
and that's really, I think.
I want to think it through. That if somebody is in Africa, could they have access to Epic, Bitcoin, gold, Federal Reserve notes, and digital credit?
Here. Instead of universally accessible, acceptable to the world's poorest.
Yeah, pal, we need 2 to 3 words.
Accessible to underprivileged.
Accessible to unbanked.
Yeah, sure, that could work.
To unbanked. Okay, I like that.
And here's my other argument for gold. Then, if that's our definition, is gold absolutely swamps both Bitcoin and Epic in actual use by the world's unbanked.
Okay.
Today.
So that's an empirical rebuttal to the argument that it's not accessible to the world's unbanked. It's clearly pretty widely accessible, and unlike Bitcoin and Epic, is accessed today.
Okay, so are we saying that Epic is accessible to the unbanked and Bitcoin is not?
You can make an argument with transaction fees and the practicality of doing small amounts that Bitcoin is not really practical in small amounts.
Okay.
Whereas both Epic and gold are.
Well, actually, no, because gold, how much less than a gram of physical gold can you get down to? 1 gram is $55. That's a lot of money for the $1 a day, folks. And the other thing is, since you can't mine BTC and it's already mostly emitted, the poor people can't afford to take it in as a payment currency for small transactions. So good luck getting your day's wages paid that way. Microtransactions at the corner store, things like that. Also, the issue of KYC. They've got it locked down so much that if you try to acquire it, you're either taking a huge risk from some shady place and you're going to get tainted coins and probably get ripped off, or you try to go through a legit regulated place and they're all going to KYC you. So the 1.7 billion unbanked are never getting into that game.
1/100th of an ounce gold bars are on the market, and that's $18.
That's a lot of money.
It's a fair bit of money.
All right.
So it's a judgment call whether $18. I think $18 is a reasonable reserve asset size for even the poorest people in the world.
Yeah, no question there. I mean, that's pretty much the only asset that I ever recommend to people to own.
Okay,
aside from Epic
so we're
is
going to
physical
go
gold.
Epic check, Bitcoin X, gold check, Federal Reserve notes check, and digital credits no, right?
Yep, and we're relabeling it accessible to the unbanked.
Accessible to the unbanked. Got it. Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. That was great. Let's get rid of that line so it doesn't distract us from the next one, which is borderless. And I had borderless here, and Todd, you disagreed that gold is not borderless. Can you unpack that?
Yeah, and you could, again, like on so many of these, you could argue them either way. It really comes down to the definition. But there's a long history of people successfully smuggling gold across international borders, and crossing international borders isn't really the dominant case anyway. But there is an argument to be made that large quantities of gold are certainly difficult to carry across borders. And I think Epic and Bitcoin are clearly superior in that regard. You know, you can just memorize the recovery phrase on your wallet and not have to carry anything physically other than what's between your ears.
Got it.
So, but gold is internationally marketable. And so if you can get it across the border, you will find a market for it on the far side, which is very much unlike Federal Reserve digital credits. And increasingly, Bitcoin has this problem with national regulations and the inability to withdraw it and take coins.
Wow. Should we change that to X?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
I would not be ready to concede that Bitcoin Core is borderless.
Okay, so you disagree with the check.
I think on Bitcoin and gold both, it's a judgment call.
Okay. Well, this
Mimblewimble absolutely helps us here over Bitcoin.
Okay. So do we want to put an X on gold? Do you agree with that, Max?
I've done business with a metals place in Singapore for a decade, and they used to be able to ship to 150 countries. Now they can ship to 2.
So that's an X. Okay. All right. Thanks for clearing that up, gentlemen. Let's walk down to fungible. I had Epic, yes. Bitcoin, no. Federal Reserve notes, no. And credits, no. But gold, you didn't think it was fungible?
I believe it is fungible.
Oh, you believe it is fungible. So yeah. I got it right.
I need to give my 2 cents here.
Okay.
A 100th ounce coin is not fungible with a 10th ounce or a 1 gram or a 1 ounce or a 400 ounce bar or a kilo bar. A Krugerrand's not fungible with a Chinese panda. A Chinese panda from 1 year is not fungible with one from another, although all American Gold Eagle 1 ounce coins are. Sure, if you're talking about melting down the atoms and recasting them for that specific use case, gold is fungible. But for 90+% of the actual use cases of gold, it's most emphatically not fungible.
A 5 is not the same as a 20, but Federal Reserve notes are fungible.
Actually, well, no, hold on, because if you go overseas, they won't take $100 bills that are torn, soiled.
No. But I'm making a point about the nature of money. You can make change, okay? And coin heterogeneity has always been with us, and it's never really been a problem because there's a market price of exchange between the coins, and an ounce of gold is basically an ounce of gold. And in extremis, you can melt it. So the fact that there's, for example, numismatic value on different coins is irrelevant to its monetary value, right? In terms of the bullion value is the bullion value, and a 1 ounce coin is more or less the same as any other 1 ounce coin, and they'll give you change in the local currency or give it to you in silver, but
no, because in many cases.
But here's the real thing that fungibility gets to, though, is 1 ounce of gold as good as any other ounce of gold. And the answer to that is within 1% on the valuation. Yes. I mean, you might have tiny little differences in value between one gold coin and another. And again, I'm ignoring numismatic value, right?
Let's look at our definition.
But hold on, Uncle, because it's not about that. It's about if I needed to do a transaction for $50 and all I have is a 1 ounce coin worth 1,800 and somebody can't handle that amount of money, or all I have is a 400 ounce bar, and I think that we're conflating here a little bit divisibility with divisibility and marketability rather than fungibility itself.
They're related.
So let's look at the definition.
No, but they are related because divisibility is tied to fungibility, right? The question with fungibility is 1 ounce of gold economically the same as any other ounce of gold? And economically, I would argue the answer is yes.
All right, fungible. Trading of two assets which have no meaningful distinction between the two assets. Epic assures that all coins appear the same by using coin join technology, which essentially melts down coins into new coins after each transaction. Did we get the definition right?
No, that's Mimblewimble, not coin join.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Mimblewimble. Change that. But otherwise, is the definition cool? And based on that definition, let's revisit.
Well, I think what's jumping out to me here is that we're trying to get to simple yes or no answers for many questions that have shades of gray in between.
Okay, Marcus.
Oh, snap.
So let us.
This is a cage match. Hit him with the chair, Uncle.
Both of your mothers send their regards.
So let's think this through. What the purpose of this interactive sheet is.
I have a clear assertion about the fungibility of gold.
Okay.
The value of any random ounce of gold in whatever coin form is, with a very high degree of precision, equal to the value of any other ounce of gold, right?
Yeah.
And the differences in value you're going to find in the global marketplace, almost anywhere in the world, are less than 1%.
Yeah.
Right. It's not economically significant, but gold is gold, and it can be melted, and because of that ultimate recourse of just melting the gold, that's why one atom of gold has the same value as any other atom of gold. They're indistinguishable. And you see this in the marketplace with the fact that a 1 ounce gold coin has a basic value, and the variations in coins are not economically significant. Gold is just gold, and an ounce is just an ounce. And that's my argument for giving gold a yes on fungibility.
All right. I like that argument. To me, that's in the spirit of what this document is, because we want people to be able to go through it and not have a PhD in monetary policy. So we're playing horseshoes here, I think. So
Max, do you agree with that? That the value of an ounce of gold is basically the same within 1% or so as any other ounce of gold?
In my experience, no. I mean, we don't need to belabor this point. Just I've done a lot of business with gold in many situations all over the world, and the spreads are much wider into the tens of percents.
No, I'm not talking about the spread. I'm talking about the market
value. The market value.
I'm talking about the market value of 2 gold coins. I can market them for a similar price at almost any coin dealer in the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking issue with. In my experience, that is not the case, because
the spread doesn't introduce any difference in the price I'm going to get.
Absolutely it does. When I sell a 10th ounce coin, it has a different spread than a 1 ounce coin.
That's not the question I asked you. That's not the question I asked you.
You said the value is within 1%.
I said a 1 ounce coin to a 1 ounce coin. That was the scenario I posited.
And it's not within 1%. It's considerable difference.
Okay, I mean, you get numismatic premiums on some.
Not numismatic.
Okay, what are the coins that are selling for significantly less that actually have an ounce of gold in them?
Well, so the ones that are deemed as more marketable. So actually, here I can pull it up right now. I have an actual website. Let me pull it up.
Okay, let me stop sharing.
All right.
You can share. By the way, everybody watching this, witnessing this, can you imagine the discussions they had when launching it?
Yeah, here. So let me screen share.
All right.
Let me just close the stuff here. Make sure there's nothing embarrassing on the screen. All right. So you can see here. Well, the first thing that jumps out is now this one supports your case. It's 2019 is 1782 and 2022 is 1827. So that's a spread of or a valuation delta of $45. So what is that? 45 divided by 1787. So that's 2.5%. Now that's like to like. These have no numismatic value because the design is identical from for every year they've made them. But if you look here at the 1/10 ounce, it's 24.40. So the spread.
You're apples to oranges. We're only comparing 1 ounces here.
All right.
It's a fungibility discussion.
All right. So we can see here. So we had 2.5% from Canada to Canada. Let's see, American Buffalo. That's 1862.
No, the sell price, man. The sell price, not the buy price. We're selling 2 1-ounce gold coins, right? 1726, 1726.
But hold on. They don't even take the hundreds of other types of gold coins. These are the only ones they take because they don't care about the melt value. They're not buying them to melt. They're buying them to resell. And UK Philharmonics are much more difficult to sell than Canadian Maple Leafs.
Yeah, but the melt value puts a floor under the value.
It does, but you said it was 1% in the case of commodity non-numismatic gold coins. And here we just saw that within this single vendor, it's 2.5%, and it's effectively infinite for the types of other gold coins because this is not a melt buyer. Yes. And if I went to sell melt, it would be like minus 10% if I could even sell them.
Okay, so can I share my screen?
Sure. Well, let me whip mine out.
All right, Kitco buy prices. Okay, we've got Maple Leaves, we've got British Lunar Dogs, we've got more Maple Leafs, we've got American Eagles and American Buffaloes, Austrian Philharmonics, Chinese Pandas, and blah blah blah. So that's the coins. Okay, and the Chinese Pandas are okay. So Chinese
not the same
panda,
size. Not the same
we're
size.
looking. Yeah, we're looking at 1 ounce. I'm not looking at the 30 grams, right? So 1 ounce. Chinese Pandas 1714. Austrian Philharmonic 1729. South African Krugerrands 1724. British Britannias 1729. American Buffaloes 1734. American Eagles 1739. Canadian Maple Leaves 1714. 1714. British Lunar Dogs 1714. Private Klondikes 1714. RCM 1 ounces 1714. And Maple Leaves 1734. 1714. Okay, so we just covered what, like 7 or 8 different kinds of 1 ounce coins?
But they will change. They will either not accept them or pay you a different price depending on their condition. Now, maybe Kitco won't, but most coin dealers will. And Kitco is definitely an exception because they specialize in this type of buyback from melt. But most buyers that don't have access to the refiners on a cozy basis like these guys do, the spreads are much higher. So the ability to find a single trading partner that has tighter spreads versus like the average out there in the market.
And if you go on eBay or Craigslist, you're going to have wildly divergent pricing. Like, sure, but deep markets are more efficient than shallow markets. Agreed, right? So again, it's a judgment call, right? Like, we at least have one example in the marketplace where all these different kinds of 1 ounce coins, the market values, more or less within 1% or 2%.
All right, I'm going to make the judgment call here. I think, Todd Lewis, you made a good argument, and the spirit of this document is to not go so far into the weeds of this type of discussion. So, all right, let's go to surveillance resistance. I have Epic is Bitcoin.
I would like to say Max makes good points about fungibility. He's not wrong.
It absolutely makes good points.
It's really just a judgment call of where we're drawing the line on these yes/no answers.
I agree.
Marcus would approve.
There you go. Okay, so I believe I got these right. That these are not surveillance resistant. Certainly,
you need to share again, Uncle.
Oh shit. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, sorry. Okay, this is the one that right here that that you disagreed with me on. I thought gold was surveillance resistant and you said it was not. But before we visit that, are we in agreement on the others? That Epic is surveillance resistant, Bitcoin is not, notes are not, and credits.
And notes are interesting because the serial numbers are actively surveilled in the banking system.
Exactly. So that we got that right. Bitcoin. I mean, I nailed these, right?
I think gold is surveillance resistant.
Okay. So why?
The question is whether Max agrees.
Why do we have a check? Or why did I put this up here for discussion then? If you agreed with me,
it might be a point of disagreement with Max.
Okay.
Yeah, well, okay. This is again one of those shades of gray things because if I need to sew it into my coat to escape Warsaw in wartime, it's much more surveillance resistant. Epic versus gold. Large quantities are not surveillance resistant. Going through metal scanners. Gold is more surveillance resistant than nothing, but not nearly as much as Epic.
Okay.
So, and here's an interesting question: what do we mean by surveillance? And we might be talking about different things here. When I think of surveillance, I think of like chain surveillance in Bitcoin and tracing bills and Federal Reserve deposits in the Federal Reserve System, where you can see the identity of the parties to a transaction. With physical gold, you cannot see the parties to a transaction.
On that definition, absolutely, sure.
So surveillance resistant, we had tapping the wire is no longer an option with Epic. Data surveillance has to come as requested from the user or by Black Ops. I don't understand.
I have an idea.
Okay.
I have an idea.
All right.
Surveillability is inherently possible based on the design of the payment instrument or not, because by that definition, we're good.
Can you can you shoot that to me in our DM?
Here's how I would define surveillance.
Okay.
Can the identities of the participants in a transaction be identified? Or can the participants in a transaction be identified? Right. For Federal Reserve notes, it's a partial yes, because they get the information when you deposit or withdraw the bills.
So can the participants in a transaction be identified?
For Bitcoin, it's yes. For Federal Reserve digital credits, it's yes. For Federal Reserve notes, it's a partial yes. For Epic, it's no. For Gold, it's no.
So that would be, so this would be correct then.
Yep.
How about this? I just sent it to you. Is it possible to identify the parties to a given transaction?
Yep.
Okay. Is it possible to ID the parties in a given transaction? Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Nailed it. Okay. So we backed into that. Thank you for the clarification, gents. Would be nice if I could find my freaking. Okay, here we go. All right. So we have put that one to bed. Now let's go all the way down here to trustless. Let's maybe go through and just see if we have the trustless. The native Epic Cash blockchain allows for private peer-to-peer transactions without using a trusted third party. Predecessor privacy coins such as ZK Snarks required a trusted third party privacy ritual, while traditional bank transactions required people to trust and even pay bankers to store and transfer wealth. Agreed on that, guys?
I think it's fine. I suspect is gold going to be the issue here?
No, Federal Reserve notes were. This is what we had. We had
And
trustless Bitcoin, gold, Federal Reserve credits is not trustless, and Federal Reserve notes is not trustless.
can we change this to trust minimized? Because nothing is truly trustless.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, no, it is binary whether you need to trust a third party to do the transaction.
But I would change the definition.
The presence of a third party is unambiguous.
Yeah, but I would generalize this that because this issue of trust is so important. It's not just the presence of a third party in my mind. It is what inputs or what about what you're using requires you to trust it in any way. So like, for example, we trust that elliptic curve cryptography is not compromised. We trust that if we're running a local node, we're doing the calculations ourselves. Are there backdoors and funky stuff going on at any level, down to the ones and zeros? I remember reading some paper that was way over my head from the 1970s that some very nerdy guy sent me, and it just kind of blew my mind about, wow, okay, there's really actually no such thing as truly trustless. And so ever since then, I've kind of drawn a distinction between trustless and trust minimized.
Okay, I'm cool with that. So we would have Epic trust minimized, Bitcoin trust minimized, gold trust.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
BTC is not trust minimized. No way. There's trust all over the place there.
Okay, unpack that.
All right. No particular order. 99+% of people do not run their own node, so they are trusting someone else to represent the state of the network faithfully. They leave their coins.
Because that's not a Bitcoin feature. That's users' choices.
But the ability of users to use it, if it's structured in a way that it's beyond the capability of most users to use it in some theoretical best case scenario way that the maxi purists are always talking about, then
holding Bitcoin custody is not harder than holding Epic custody.
Sure. Well, actually, yes, it is, because of the way you acquire it. And now you need to KYC the individual wallets that you withdraw to in the European Union. In the case of Coinbase in the Netherlands, Coinbase in the United States requires you to KYC your withdrawals. If you're unable or unwilling to provide that, then you're out of luck. And also the fact that you can't acquire it by mining, and you can't acquire it through non-KYC decentralized exchanges, and you can't acquire it through earnings on micropayments. You're effectively frozen out if you're in any one of those situations.
Yeah, my problem with that is it's not the core technology that does that. It's the regulatory surface.
Well, I think we're talking about, I mean, in my mind, we're talking about the quest for superior money, not describing the technical features of the network that powers that use of this as money.
Sure, but my point is well, it's a question of what you want to define. There are still non-KYC ways to get Bitcoin, and it's not locked down in the chain, it's imposed externally. So, and if and when they start regulating Epic in the same way, then we'll just go around it. But the ways that we will go around it are the same ways that you can go around it with Bitcoin.
No way.
It's getting good. Throw down.
Yeah, you cannot get it in the same way. You can't mine Epic on BTC
true.
on a laptop.
Mining
you can't earn it. You can't earn it through micropayments of less than $2 in value.
It is
You can't earn it if you are in a place where transacting with you causes a problem for political retaliation based on your off-chain data.
It is
i.e. Canada. Yeah, i.e. Canada and other totalitarian regimes. But there's all kinds of trust all over because your non-KYC BTC acquisition example really hones in on this point of trust, because in BTC, you need to trust your sender because the coins are not fungible. If you buy from a non-KYC exchange or any kind of outside the accepted channels, you face a very high probability of getting dirty coins that you're going to have a problem selling on. And if you do, maybe your account gets shut down and all your other assets get frozen.
I'm really glad that you explained all of that. That's really, really helpful in terms of explaining why, if you do want to change it, why to change it. And I don't really disagree with you on any of that. My beef actually comes on Federal Reserve notes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Drug dealers.
Hold on 1 second, Todd. Hold on, Todd. Tillman, since I know you're listening, can you DM me? Let's do an article on trust in Bitcoin Core. That's another one of those Achilles heel moments.
Drug dealers around the world accept Federal Reserve notes as payment for all kinds of illegal substances without any involvement from third parties.
And here again, we need to change the definition of this, because the focus on third parties misses the point about where you are trusting in the system. And I would say that Federal Reserve notes are absolutely trust dependent, because you're dependent on the existence of the Federal Reserve, their continued ability to enforce their predation at gunpoint.
Empirically, we know that's not necessarily true, because Saddam Hussein's banknotes were still accepted in Iraq even after his government fell, not because of any authority from the government, but just because it was convenient for commerce.
But Todd Lewis, why do drug dealers?
Hang on, no, it's better than that. In fact, the value of the notes went up because after the Saddam Hussein government was overthrown, they couldn't continue to debase it, so that they actually got more valuable after Iraq's Federal Reserve was abolished
temporarily.
Yeah.
All right. Why do drug dealers have to launder their money then? Why?
Oh, they do, but it doesn't stop them from doing transactions, right? They can accept payment, and they choose to accept payment despite the problems in cash for illegal substances. Okay. I'm not endorsing this. I'm just noting the monetary phenomenon. Of course, no one should ever do anything illegal anywhere.
Right. So what do you think, Max?
What are we on? Trust minimized?
Yeah.
Oh, well, come on. I mean, Federal Reserve notes are not trust minimized, because it depends on the existence of the Federal Reserve, the existence of the political entity that banking paradigm or currency paradigm is attached to. Mm-hmm. I could go on, but just right there, I mean, anything Federal Reserve is an abject failure on trust.
All right, I am going to agree with you on that. I think that line is fine. And I'll reach out to you, Max. Maybe we can rework the definition.
All right.
So that it makes more sense. All right, I don't want to debase this conversation because we're not going to blow through these. So I'm just this will be the last one. And then we'll continue next week if you two can do that. Because this all is worthy of this kind of deep dive for this series to be the best it can be. So permissionless, let's just reveal what we have. Digital credits, no. Gold, yes. Bitcoin, no. And Epic, yes. And what did we have an issue on?
How are Federal Reserve notes not permissionless?
I think they are permissionless.
I agree.
You do?
Drug dealers around the world agree.
You don't need permission to physically grab a Federal Reserve note and hand it to the next guy.
All right. You don't need permission for gold. So we have an X for Bitcoin. Do you need permission for Bitcoin? I think so, right?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And why do we get a pass on that then?
You want to handle that one, Todd?
Because Mimblewimble, epics can't be tainted.
Okay, so this is about the taint.
And it's because yeah.
We need to read that joke 100 times.
As you did that, I just smelled my finger.
The shit covered taint. Right.
This is about the taint. Maybe I should. I have Crypto Coffee Throwdown with Todd Lewis and Max Freeman. Maybe I publish this and incorporate taint. Todd versus Max's taint.
Oh, it's Bitcoin's taint and how shitty it is.
Well, that actually argues in favor of the scarcity of BTC because of all the coins getting progressively tainted.
We made this joke last week, Max.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was busy working while you guys were out here having fun. So excuse me for missing.
It's
not our fault we make good life choices, man.
Exactly right. So I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to just wrap this up with why I have a hard stop at noon. I want to share with you something. So I had a car in 2004 that was my favorite car in the world. As people know, I've shared before, went into this business, got wrecked in 2008. I had my car up as collateral and I lost it. So I had a buddy of mine, Mr. P, he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, Todd, your car doesn't self-identify as black anymore, but it sure wants to come home." And so he sent me a link to this car. I will tell you, this car is from yesterday, okay? I got it. It has 107,000 miles on it. The paint job just absolutely sucked and had chips all over. And one of the lights on the other side was all yellow.
What is it, Uncle?
It's a Mercedes CLK 55 AMG, and beautiful car. So the seats, you could tell the dude who had it was really, really fat because that seat was like disintegrated on the other side. So anyway, it was I know this is relatively, but look, it was kind of the idea of just getting that car back, you know, kind of coming full circle. So it was just like 18.5, right? I mean, it's over 100,000, and I'm probably buying a piece of shit that's just gonna, you know, I had to replace the top. They had to rebuild all the hydraulics from scratch and everything. So this is me picking it up after being in the shop for over 6 weeks yesterday, and it was really hot as hell. And so I put the top down, and as I was driving home, I turned this corner, not a car in sight, and all of a sudden I heard boom, and it was like a shotgun went off, and I'm like, what the? And so I stopped the car in the middle of the intersection. I get out of the car expecting to like have a dent or my bumper fell off or something. No, I couldn't find anything. So I'm like, this is just odd. So I go home, pull it in. And then when my wife got home, I was going to show her how cool it looks with the top down. And what happened is the hydraulic on my left side just blew up. So I have to leave now to go back while, I still have a little window with these guys, and maybe they have a little bit of a heart for me, so I have to go and spend the rest of the afternoon to see if they can fix that. So what's the moral of the story? Don't be histrionic when it comes to assets. Just invest in Epic Cash. How's that for a summary?
Yeah. Good progress today, guys.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be back next week. Everybody, please know that Epic Cash Live will be moved from Friday to Thursday, so tomorrow, because nobody, as I will show you here, nobody rocks a hernia girdle better than Uncle Vigilante, guys. I had a bad coughing fit, so bad that I blew a hernia 1.5 inches right above my belly button. So I go under the knife on Friday. So next Tuesday, it might be, or next Wednesday, it might be kind of interesting. I don't know if I think I'll be fine by then, but yeah, definitely Friday is not going to happen. It would be kind of fun if it did, but I'm thinking I'm just being under the influence of pain meds.
You should have less than the normal amount of fun so we don't make you laugh too much, right?
Very good. Good point. Next Wednesday, all business.
Max, send me all your good jokes. We'll load them up.
I used them all today already.
Oh, hey, by the way, Max, that interview between you and Mike Mumola, that was just so great. And I screen recorded it, and I'm going to upload it to my channel so that people don't have to have a code.
Perfect.
Yep. And then
let me just ask the audience for a bit of feedback. Maybe we can discuss this in the DAO governance chat. But I got feedback from somebody that said, I loved everything you said, and I was going to share it around to all my people, except when you said that Bill Gates was a sociopath. And I took issue with that, and I'm offended, and now I'm not going to share it. So it was suggested that I steer away from such inflammatory comments. I feel I'm doing a public service by informing people that that man is as dangerous as he is and calling a spade. But, mission first. So I could use a bit of feedback and guidance on that.
That soy diet is not serving him well.
You mean Bill Gates with his man boobs?
Yeah.
He needs to add some insects to his diet. They're high in protein.
Well, for me, you know me, Max, I'm all for spreading truth and call it like you see it. I wouldn't, you're going to step on some toes and hurt some feelings along the way, but it is what it is. People will be able to find that video by the end of the day on my channel, and then you can share it around, and that's that.
Yeah, it's a good one. It talks about backwards from today, the history of the global monetary system. So back through 1971 and Bretton Woods and the creation of the Fed, and then the second bank of the U.S. in the 1800s. So it's really kind of a historical,
it's funny
that we don't often get into.
It's funny, Max, is I have a little speaker that I have on my cupboard so that when I'm making breakfast, I can just attach my little speaker to this little area and then have the speaker right by my ear as I'm making. So I'm down cooking breakfast and I have that playing, and my wife comes in and she knows of you, but she doesn't really know you. And she just got into it. And she's like, who is this guy? And I said, that's Max Freeman, founder Epic Cat. She's wow. He like has a PhD in monetary policy or something. Like, kind of.
If you really want to geek out, we should do an hour on the second bank of the United States.
Oh, let's geek. Yeah. I love that stuff because this series is going to be complete next week, but that doesn't mean Crypto Coffee with Todd Lewis is going to end.
And
So that's something that we could do the following week. That would be fun.
Yeah, and even more broadly, I don't know if I have the depths to do a whole hour just on that. I'd just reveal my ignorance. So maybe we could make it more broad to the history of money more generally, because if you look at tally sticks and rye stones and beads and wampum, coins, banknotes, various schemes.
Paint.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to get that in one last time.
Well, and to Max's choice of Andrew Jackson as his public moniker, Andrew Jackson's veto message on the Second Bank of the United States is one of the most important documents in American history.
Wow.
Let justice fall like heaven's rains on rich and poor alike.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Boom. All right, everybody.
We had the national debt paid off within a few years. We had a multi-decade, unprecedented boom, never seen before, ever, or since in the economy. The Gini coefficient went in the right direction. Every time we've thrown off the yoke of the Babylonian parasites, it's led to a broad-based boom. So the bad news is this is the end of the world as we know it. The good news is it's a chance to build a better one, and history does show us the way here.
Amen to that. Hashtag Epic Cash. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Todd, Max. We'll see you again next week if you'll join me, and if I'm able, and I'm sure I will be. I think the pain will be long gone after that. So everybody else, we'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern time for Epic Cash Live, where Thursday self-identifies as